Minors. Do we love minors? I love minors.
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. Yesterday's a hard word for me.
Call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Vagina.
Wrong.
All right, what do you say we dive right into it, ladies and gentlemen? How are we doing? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Boston Bryant. This is Blunt Politics. It's Friday, December 19th. It is Judgment Day, and as predicted by pretty much everybody on the planet, it does look like the DOJ, from everything that we've heard and seen so far, is ready to, again, renege on the lawful order signed by Donald Trump for them to release all of the Epstein files, all of the not classified material that they were able to release. But yes, does seem like they're ready to go against that, as everybody predicted. So we'll be talking about, obviously, that. We got a couple videos talking about what the what people are suspecting that we're going to see, what they're suspecting we're not going to see. Obviously, we have Todd Blanche was on with Fox News. So, I mean, the way he was looking, acting, and sounding, and of course, from what has been reported so far, it does seem like there's going to be at least a considerable amount of information withheld from this release, depending on what happens. So we'll be looking at that. And then obviously the other biggest story we'll be taking a look at is the Brown University shooter found dead in a storage facility in New Hampshire, in the story behind that, and how it was basically a homeless man in a Reddit post that kind of led to this man's arrest. Not only that, but now being connected to the murder of the MIT professor as well. So lots to dive into as well as that. As far as that's concerned, we'll also be talking about Republicans getting on Dan Bongino's ass, pretty much making fun of him for his short time spent in this administration, and basically the lack of accomplishments, the lack of anything that he said or promised he was going to get done, that he was going to get done or did get done. We also have a video here about some racists in this country fucking around and finding out. So that's always good to see. It's been a rough stretch the last couple days, if not couple weeks, for Russia, as far as not only on the battlefield, but also their propaganda has been taking a major hit. A lot of their propaganda has been disproven. A lot of what they said a couple weeks ago still does not remain true today. And then obviously we got a lot more to take a look at. So what do you say? How's everybody doing in the chat? Appreciate you guys. What's up, Cam? What's up, Gamer? What's up, Roxanne? How are you? What's up, Webb? What's going on, my man? What's up, Christina? What's up, Yakov? How's everything going, buddy? Appreciate everybody joining me on the Zoom call last night. Always enjoy speaking to you guys. Always an enjoyable experience to shoot the shit. So again, if you want to sign up at patreon.com, there's a lot of different ways you can sign up, a lot of different platforms to choose from, a lot of different areas in which you can kind of sign up there that will definitely help the platform. So again, I appreciate everybody that shows up and signs up there. Very good to see everybody's face. You can also sign up for a membership just underneath me here on YouTube. That goes a long way. We're on our way to 1,000 memberships here, which is really, really cool. We're on our way to 20,000. We just passed 15. We're on our way to 20,000 subscribers. So please, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe to the channel, but at least like it. That's, the very least in what you can do. But let's dive into the Epstein files and what we are looking at seeing or what we're not looking at seeing today. So this was kind of put out by Politico. Let me throw this on the screen for you guys. So this was a Politico article. DOJ won't meet Friday deadline to release all the Epstein files. This delay means the White House is in apparent conflict with the law President Donald Trump signed in November, but falls right in line with what everybody predicted. Whether it was Pam Bondi kind of overstepping her powers and, withholding more information than she was probably legally able to withhold, or, redacting more than actually legally able to redact. So, let's dive into just a little bit of this, because it says the Department of Justice will not will not be releasing all of its files on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein by the Friday's deadline. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said Friday morning, so this is this morning, in an interview with Fox News. Blanche said the department would be releasing several 100,000 documents today, which again is not the entirety of the Epstein files. X what they can't, or what's basically, it's supposed to be what is connected to either ongoing investigations or could go to harm some of the victims in the case. That's basically what she has, the power she has to withhold or redact the information. But again, as we've been suspecting, they're definitely going to abuse that power. And like we're seeing here, Todd Blanche already announcing that we're not going to get to see the entirety of it, but just hundreds of thousands of documents. Release several 100,000 documents is what he said. And we'll take a look at that interview he does on Fox News. But he acknowledged Friday's release would not encompass all of the DOJ's documents for the investigation into the late financier. He says, quote, "I expect that we're going to release more documents over the next couple of weeks. So today, several 100,000, and then over the next couple of weeks, I expect several 100,000 more," which again is not what the law requires. The law requires everything to be released by the deadline. I think it's midnight tonight, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Hit me up in the chat. I do believe that it's midnight tonight, that they were supposed to, if they take a look at the way the law was written, release everything not attached to an ongoing investigation. And again, they're able to redact or withhold any information, I believe, personal information about victims or anything like that, right? So this delay means the White House is in apparent conflict with the law President Donald Trump signed in November that mandated the wholesale release of all of its non-exempt Epstein information within a 30-day period. A spokesperson for the Department of Justice declined a request to expand on Blanche's comments, saying they speak for themselves. President Trump signed a law 30 days ago, Blanche said on his Fox News interview, and we've been working tirelessly since that day to make sure that we get every single document that we have within the Department of Justice, review it, and get it to the American public. When asked for comment, spokesperson Rep. Tom Massey, who has been leading the charge with with Democrats, with Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's been kind of prominent in those interviews and the press conferences that have been taking place with the victims, who has led the successful discharge petition effort to trigger an eventual passage of the law, pointed to a video on X on Thursday where he indicated he'd know whether the administration had met his disclosure standards. Following conversations with the lawyer, Epstein victim said he believes the FBI has at least 20 names of men who are accused of committing sex crimes. So basically, to kind of summarize what Thomas Massey was saying, he's basically saying we'll know if they're withholding prime information, if they're withholding information that isn't directly related to investigations, but is trying to kind of defend or deflect against anybody's name being released in this file. He's going to say if we don't hear any high profile names, if we don't hear names that we haven't really heard before, if we don't hear information we haven't heard before about people that we either kind of speculated to be in the Epstein files or in and around the people around that, then he says that's gonna pretty much set off the red flags and say that they're they went above and beyond what they were lawfully required to do or lawfully able to do, and definitely withheld and redacted more information, or just straight up withheld more information from the American public. So he says, quote, "If we get a large production on December 19th and it does not contain a single name of any male who is accused of a sex crime or sex trafficking or rape or any of these things, then we know they haven't produced all the documents." He said it's that simple. Ro Khanna also said, who partnered with Massey to push the discharge petition, in a statement said if the DOJ is producing real documents of interest, they are not overly redacted, and if they are clear about a timeline for full production, then that is a positive step. So again, seems like that's Ro Khanna saying if as long as they're willing to produce these files and not overly redacted, I don't think he's that really mad about the fact that they're not going to have them all released by midnight tonight. Is kind of what I'm getting from Ro Khanna's statement there. He says, and then it goes on to say, quote, "They ultimately must release all of it." He said, "The North Star remains justice for survivors and holding the rich and powerful men who raped young girls or covered up the abuse accountable." But I disagree. Donald Trump signed a law. There was a law put into place. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, signed that law requiring a very specific thing to take place. And I don't think we should be giving them any leeway, any fucking, I don't even know what you'd call it. Just, I don't know. We shouldn't be getting them out of trouble. We shouldn't be giving them any excuses to, again, not comply with this lawful order, this lawful request to release this information, and then to kind of promise dribs and drabs over the next couple weeks, and then over the next couple weeks, and over the next couple weeks, because I'm sure they'd love to continuously drag this thing out. And if they can hide the most damning information, the most damning files till the end of this whole fucking stretch, God knows how long it's going to be, maybe it is past midterms, then that's a huge win for Republicans. So the more pressure we put on them now, the more that we tell people what the law required of them and what they're not actually fucking living up to as far as their half of the deal, the better it is for everybody, not only the victims, but also everybody else that wants to see accountability in this case as well. You know what I mean? So this was the first sign that everybody saw that, obviously we weren't going to be getting the entirety of the files today. We weren't going to see everything that we had hoped to see. And it goes on to, let me just throw this on the screen too, because this is a quick CBS Morning News clip talking about the Trump administration. Official says only part of the Epstein files will be released today. And then we have actually Todd Blanche's own comments from the horse's mouth himself when he's speaking on Fox News. So we'll dive into that next, but let's just hop into this. And then again, we'll hear from the horse's mouth himself how, again, he plans on not complying with that law that Donald Trump signed to release all the Epstein files by midnight tonight.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche told Fox News this morning that several 100,000 pages of records from the Epstein files will be released today, with more to come in the coming weeks. But the partial release does not abide by the newly signed law requiring a full release today. Yesterday, Democrats released more images they obtained from Epstein's estate showing him with young women. For more on this, we're joined now by Aisha Bagchi. She's the Justice Department correspondent and here to talk about it at USA Today. Aisha, good morning. So what are we going to see today? I mean, I think everybody, no one seems to really know. So what are you expecting?
That's right, especially since Todd Blanche's announcement that we're only going to see a partial group. That makes it even less clear what's going to come out today. But we should see a much more expansive array of documents than we've seen before when it comes to earlier drips of Epstein-related materials. The Justice Department should have investigative files that feature witness interviews, investigative trails that might not have resulted in any charges and any grounds to prosecute someone in the Justice Department's determinations. And this goes all the way back to the mid-2000s when Jeffrey Epstein was first investigated by federal authorities, and a draft indictment involving sex trafficking charges and minors was prepared at that time. So you can just imagine the trove of documents that the Justice Department should have when you're talking about all the interviews that they conduct. It might involve very small details of witnesses talking about people they saw with Epstein, suspicions that they had. And you should also expect to see photos. So really an array of documents, court materials that also haven't been released before. We know that grand jury materials should be included in the full gambit.
But I'm curious, what work is Todd Blanche specifically referencing behind the scenes? Are they doing, everything they possibly can to kind of put these, documents in an order in which, again, the most salacious are at the end, and they're just trying to, release it in a way that extends this as much as humanly possible? And again, like I said, the most damning, the most salacious shit being at the very end that we're not going to get to see until these dribs and drabs are over. I mean, I know what's supposed to be in here, but I'm kind of curious as to, what work they were doing and why it's taken so long, even with this, this information being in their possession for so long, that after Donald Trump signed the law, that's when they started like kicking into high gear to figure out what they could release and what they couldn't release. Like, shouldn't that already have been information known to these agents?
Of what the Justice Department has. But given that we've been told this morning that we're only going to see a partial segment of these documents, and given that there are some exceptions for the Justice Department in the law, that we don't really know how the Trump administration is going to use those exceptions.
And again, that's the same exceptions that we were just discussing and have been discussing since this law went into place. The basically the powers giving to Pam Bondi and the DOJ to redact or withhold anything they deem, to be affiliated or associated with an ongoing investigation, or something affiliated or associated with the victims or anything like that. But again, we have all been speculating as to how they were going to use or abuse that power to their benefit to, again, defend, to keep information about Donald Trump hidden, or anybody, again, that's high profile inside the Republican Party or whatever it may be. But again, that's what the speculation has been. And it seems like, again, we can't really confirm or, corroborate those claims until we see what's being put out and what it looks like as far as redactions and being withheld and stuff like that. But it just already, we're not kind of getting the entirety of the files, which is not a good start, and already goes to, prove the skepticism that everybody was going to have, or everybody did have, as far as these, Epstein files being released today, kind of proves that right.
They don't have to include certain classified information. If there's an ongoing investigation, they can redact materials attached to that. And of course, they're supposed to protect victims' identities, victims' records, child sexual abuse material. So some of those protections are really important, but we don't know how they'll be used in ways that may allow for release or shield things that the public might have an interest in.
So again, she has the same kind of skepticism, the same thoughts, the same worries that a lot of people, including myself, have had since the beginning of this, again, since the law was put into place. And we've heard of those kind of stipulations that Pam Bondi and the DOJ had. So I guess, it remains to be seen what the information looks like, what these hundreds of thousands of documents look like when they come out. I mean, it's one thing to say you're going to release several 100,000 pages of documents, but again, if they're all heavily redacted, or if, the most salacious of the information, or, people's names that should have been out there are redacted, then, again, that's going to point to them kind of overstepping their boundaries in this case. But let's dive into just a little bit of Todd Blanche this morning on with Fox News, which is what these two clips beforehand, these two kind of channels that we just watched were referencing, is his comments here. So I just want to kind of throw this on the screen, because he goes on to reference a little bit about the Brown University shooter, but we'll get into that later. So I'm going to skip forward here to where they dive into the Epstein files specifically. So let's get into this, where Todd Blanche, again, look at his body language, the way he's speaking. I mean, there's definitely a lot to be read into as far as that's concerned. And again, Todd Blanche, not really, he's kind of diving in front of the bullet here by putting himself on Fox News, I think, but let's see what he has to say.
DOJ to make the Epstein files public after the president signed a law requiring those to be released. So in these files, are we going to learn any new information about Epstein and people that may have been associated with him?
So yes, so today is the 30 days where, and I expect that we're going to release several 100,000 documents today.
Again, right off the bat, a clear admission that they're not complying with the law. They're not complying with the way the law was written. They're not complying with the way the law was written and then signed by Donald Trump. That's a clear admission right there. Okay, we're going to release several 100,000, not all of them, which is what the law says we're required to do. Again, bar ongoing investigations, bar information about victims, that sort of thing, right? Otherwise, they're required to release everything that they have. And he's already right here in the first 30 seconds about talking about it, already talking about how they're not complying with the law.
And those documents will come in all different forms, photographs and other materials associated with all of the investigations into Mr. Epstein. And just so everybody appreciates, President Trump has said for years that he wants full transparency and he wants the Department of Justice to release everything that we can.
Oh, that's funny, because it's almost like you're trying to imply that he doesn't have the power, or hasn't had the power for quite some time now, to again instruct the DOJ to release the entirety of the Epstein files. Like Pam Bondi hasn't had the opportunity and the ability to release all of this stuff for quite some time. So you can talk about, transparency, you can talk about wanting to do something, but the actions don't line up with what your words are fucking saying, right? The shit coming out of your mouth does not line up with the actions that we're seeing from this administration. So you can talk about it all you want, but again, hasn't been released yet, has it? Could it have been? Absolutely. Was it? No.
To this investigation in cases. And we saw during the Biden administration radio silence from the very Democrats that are screaming from congressional steps today that we haven't done enough. But guess
and again,
what?
This is the point in the other direction. sort of thing, right? This is okay. You can say that we haven't done enough, but oh, geez, no, remember 4 years ago. But that's not what people are talking about right now. We're not living 4 years ago. We're living in right now. We're talking about right now. We're talking about the president that was best friends with the guy that he's now again trying to hide and cover up the information to that could lead to multiple arrests, multiple high-profile people from all over the fucking planet seeing accountability, seeing justice, right? The victims seeing their perpetrators and the monsters that perpetrated the crimes against them see justice. We're living in right now. So again, the conversation can be had, but how about we talk about what everybody is discussing, and it is your lawful ability, the law that was signed by the president that says you have to and are required to release the information today by midnight, bar again the ongoing investigations and any information, personal information about the victims, etc.
President Trump signed that law 30 days ago, and we have been working tirelessly since that day to make sure that we get every single document that we have within the Department of Justice, review it, and get it to the American public.
So you failed in that, is what you're saying. So you failed. You had 30 days to do so, and what you're saying is you failed in your attempt. You did not comply with that. That's basically what they're saying. So to go along the lines of, the incompetency of the FBI under Kash Patel, and again, we'll get into more of that, where it ended up being a fucking homeless guy in a Reddit post that had to solve the Brown murders, the Brown, the Brown University, and find the Brown University shooting and the killing of the MIT professor. Wasn't the work of the actions of the FBI, similar to the Charlie Kirk murder, where the fucking guy's father and priest had to walk him into a police station. And then Kash Patel and the FBI, taking all the credit for it. It's like, no. You don't get credit for the guy walking himself into the police station. It shows that you're incompetent and actually didn't catch the guy, and he literally had to catch himself. So again, we'll talk about that coming up, but pretty ridiculous.
Now, the most important thing that the Attorney General has talked about, that Director Patel has talked about, is that we protect victims. And so what we're doing is we are looking at every single piece of paper that we are going to produce, making sure that every victim, their name, their identity, their story, to the extent it needs to be protected, is completely protected. And so
now I'm just curious. Now, why didn't you do that when you had the 1,000 FBI agents combing through these files to redact Donald Trump's name? Like, why wasn't that like hey, this is your first task. Number one, redact Donald Trump's name. Number two, while we're doing that, and to kill two birds with one stone, how about we also look for any information about any victims that we would also need to redact? And that way we could kind of, not spend another month having to do this when we already have 1,000 people tasked to look at these files that are very capable and probably are right there to do it. Would have saved a lot of money, I'm sure. I'm sure everybody remembers the reporting about that. 1,000 people sitting there going through these files. So anything that said Donald Trump's name on it so they could redact it. Why didn't they do it at that time? Now it seems like they're trying to slow walk this. It seems like they did this on purpose, and then this is the result, them not actually complying with the law to release it by today.
I expect that we're going to release more documents over the next couple of weeks. So today, several 100,000. And then over the next couple of weeks, I expect several 100,000 more.
And then what? Over the next couple of weeks after that, several 100,000 more? Over the next, how many, what are we talking? What's the finite number? What is the number of documents? That way we can compare how many you've actually released to how many still have to be released. Right? Give me a total number. I don't care if it's 27,347,888,391, right? Tell me how many fucking, at the end of the day, how many documents do you have? How many pages compared to how many you're releasing right now? Well, that will give us at least some sort of information, at least some sort of timeline as to when we can expect to see the entirety of the files. Just for shits and giggles, you know what I mean? If there's, if there's, say, 1 million, just to pull a number out of the hat, say if there's 1 million documents, I'm sure there's far more than that, right? And you release 100,000 of them, or, you can then tell, okay, if he does that every time, it's going to take this amount of time to find out how, to get the entirety of the documents. But otherwise, it's just going to be dribs and drabs, 2 weeks here, and then, I'm sure there's going to be delays, right? Sure, there's going to be delays, and then this is going to be extended as long as the Republicans could possibly do it. to get closer to midterms, if not past midterms, which would give them a huge win in this if this information does not come out, if none of this is released before then. Or, again, it could be a huge backfire and the American people could see through their bullshit, which is hopefully the option that does happen. But, yeah, just another couple minutes of this lies and propaganda from this asshole. But we can pretty much gather what needs to be gathered from this is that we're not going to see everything that we were hoping to see today as far as, the Epstein files are concerned. And again, everybody was pretty much proven right, whether you were a right-wing podcaster, left-wing podcaster, everybody had their skepticisms about what was going to happen today, what we were going to see today. And it seems like people have been proven right. So it remains to be seen what the information that is going to be released looks like. And we'll have to dig into that. And then when, more journalists and more organizations and newspapers start digging through it, then I'm sure more and more information will be released. And we're going to have a ton of things to talk about, just a ton of things to talk about, hopefully. But yeah, again, everybody proven right.
There's a lot of eyes looking at these, and we want to make sure that when we do produce the materials we're producing, that we're protecting.
You were legally obligated to produce them today. Why is he talking like this was just kind of like, I don't know, a wish, right? This was just somebody's, just giving somebody advice. The advice was to have it out for today. It wasn't like an actual lawful order signed by the president that required it. Do you see how they're talking about this right now? Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I know we were required to have it out today, but, it's so much riding on it and like the victims and stuff. So, it'll be another couple weeks and then we'll release more and then another couple weeks and release more. I know what the law that Trump signed said, but fuck, who actually obeys laws anymore, right? I mean, he's just so nonchalantly saying, okay, no, we didn't actually comply with the law. We failed to be able to get our work done that we were required to get done in the time frame that we were given. That's pretty much you could cut this entire interview down to that many words. Sorry, American people, we're going to release some, but we failed in our obligation and our duties in the requirement to get all of this information out to you today, like the law stated. Fucking unreal. And then, again, going on to incompetency in this administration in the federal agencies that it now controls. This was another big part of the news that everybody was talking about, where the shooter at the Brown University and the MIT professor shooting was found dead in a New Hampshire storage unit. And apparently it was a homeless, this says here, shooting at Brown University, MIT cracked by homeless hero, now entitled to $50,000 reward, says the feds, right? And then this goes on to say a homeless hero has been credited with cracking the shootings at Brown University and MIT wide open after he confronted the gunman. After the feds say he now is entitled to the staggering $50,000 reward. The tipster, known only as John, was key to the police eventually identifying Claudio Neves Valente as the suspect after he offered up key information on the 48-year-old perp's car following an odd encounter with him on the day of the shooting. So it turns out this guy just happened to have an encounter with the guy, said he was kind of dressed a little oddly, said he was acting a little strangely, like that sort of stuff. So actually had the wherewithal to get information on the guy's car and shit like that. So, big ups to this guy, whoever he may be, and hopefully he does see that $50,000 reward, if not more, and hopefully he can use that as a boost to, start a new life to get himself off of the streets, because, good on him. And again, just shows the inability, the incompetency of the FBI and having to rely on, again, whether or not it's the suspect's father marching him into the police station or a homeless man that had a random encounter with the guy that just happened to see some sort of Reddit post. And that's what led to this guy's capture. You can definitely tell it wasn't the hard work. It wasn't the dedication of Kash Patel as he's sitting on his girlfriend's fucking podcast talking about the jet that he uses, talking about how much he loves his little sweetheart and babies and how much he's so happy that he gets to go to her little fucking talent shows or whatever the fuck, right? No, he's not doing anything related to the case. A homeless man is solving it, but not Kash Patel. Let's hope a homeless man had some random encounter is basically the policy of the FBI now. Let's hope that the guy's father and priest walks him into the police station so that we don't have to look like assholes anymore. Right? So a guy can just waltz into a fucking university, shoot 2 students, wound others, go and then go, travel somewhere else, murder an MIT professor, And then we have to rely on a fucking homeless guy. And I know it's always random little things like this that, tend to break the case wide open, but it's been a substantial amount of time. And then you pair that up with the fact that the FBI is bringing in the wrong people, announcing that they've got the perpetrator. Meanwhile, it's not even fucking close to the guy. I mean, it just shows the, again, incompetency of the administration. I'm not saying these are the people on the ground or the federal agents themselves, but in the leadership of this agency. And again, it goes on here because he says, it says he blew this case wide open. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Nerona said, and he praised the tipster. Until John's tip came through, investigators had been scrambling to ID the gunman who killed 2 Brown students and then gunned down a Massachusetts, an MIT professor. I think, was I saying the wrong school? My apologies if I did. Just 2 days later. It wasn't immediately clear if John, whose image was initially put out by police as someone they wanted to speak to, would receive the hefty reward on offer, but Ted Dox, special agent in charge of the FBI, said he should be eligible. And I think there's actually a short clip here related with this. Let's see if this clip gives us any more information about this guy who kind of cracked this case wide open. Then we have this as well, because apparently, as CBS Morning News is reporting, this says a Reddit post led to the suspect in Brown University shooting MIT professor's murder, document says. So there's also another aspect to this as well. So let's dump into this quick video on this one and see if we get any information on the guy that kind of cracked this case open.
I'm proud to be the chief of police of this city. I'm proud to be a product of this city for the reasons that the mayor stated. The community stepped up. It was all about groundwork, public assistance, interviews of individuals, and good old-fashioned police. That is the type of police work that every police officer in this nation reminds themselves of.
Okay. Do I want to play? You can play at any point now. I swear you can play. Let's try this other one.
Begin this morning with signs of in the search for a man who shot students in a study session at Brown University as
I'm back. I don't know what the fuck. Unbelievable. Deep state. It's all the deep state. Blame it on the deep state. My apologies. That wasn't me this time. I promise. I know I have this escape hatch built in, but that wasn't me. I wasn't even touching anything. You could see it buffering before. All right, let me put this back on the screen. My apologies. We'll get back into it. Where was I? I was on the New York Post. Yeah, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. My apologies. All right, let's dive back into this one. Let's see if there was anything more here about this guy, because he says a homeless hero has been credited. Did we already do this one? Yeah, we did that one, and then there was this. It would be logical to think that that absolutely the individual will be entitled to that. He talks about that. John's first tip came to light when he started posting on Reddit. So this is where the Reddit post comes in. John's first tip came to light when he posted on Reddit that he recognized the images of the perpetrator that had been blasted out by authorities in the wake of Saturday's bloodshed. So again, just this guy's random encounter, right? And then he just happened to fucking recognize the guy, the guy's photos, and then he just happened to randomly post on Reddit, and then somebody recognized the Reddit post, and they use those Reddit posts. So again, you can see how this kind of all came together here, but it says, I'm being dead serious, the Reddit post said, according to court documents. The police need to look for this guy, look into a gray Nissan with Florida plates, possibly a rental. I know because he used a key fob to open the car, approached it, and then something prompted him to back away, he added. Like, this is obviously the homeless man giving his account of what he saw from Nieves on the day, and this being the guy on the screen, obviously. But yeah, he said when he backed away, he relocked the car. I found that odd. So when I circled the block, I approached the car. That is when I saw the Florida plates. Until that point, authorities had zero details on a vehicle possibly tied to the shooter. How crazy is that, right? After all this time, after everything the fucking Kash Patel said the FBI has been doing and all the hard work they've been putting in. And again, no doubt, I'm sure they have been, but clearly the leadership has not been pointing them in the right direction, has not been doing enough, again, to lead this. But now, again, zero information they had on a vehicle before this homeless man had this encounter, posted on Reddit, and then it led to the eventual finding of the man. And I think it still remains to be seen when he took his life. I'm not sure if he took his life when he, heard people outside of the storage unit, realized he was caught at that point and then took his life, or if he just went there after the murder of the MIT professor and took his life then. I don't know if that's been reported yet. Well, we'll have to keep up on that information. But yeah, let's dive into this next one that kind of got me taken off here. The CBS Morning News talking about the link in the Reddit post to see if they give us any information. If not, we'll go on to Dan Bongino getting his ass reamed out by conservatives for his basically lack of doing anything while he was part of this administration. All right, let's get into this though.
You see him here dead in a storage unit in New Hampshire last night. And it turns out a post on Reddit helped crack the case. Investigators identified the gunman as 48-year-old Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, a former PhD student at Brown. Now, take a look at this map. It effectively gives you a sense of the shooting.
Yeah, is that the one? And Reefa Mad says he met his boss at the storage space. I did see a clip of a woman kind of describing the scene, and apparently what she was describing was that, like, the manager of this storage facility apparently talked to either law enforcement or FBI agents or something like that. And then when he was kind of leaving, they actually drew their guns on him. Like, they stopped his vehicle, drew guns down on him. And he was like, "Hey, I just talked to you guys. I was telling you about what the hell's going on." You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's what you're referencing in that case. But I did see a clip of a woman kind of speaking about the incident as she saw it at that time.
Movements. The attack Saturday happened in Providence, Rhode Island. Monday night, that MIT professor was killed in Brookline, Massachusetts. And last night, police tracked down the suspect in Salem, New Hampshire. Now, if you don't know the area, there's only about 80 miles between the scene of the mass shooting and where the shooter's body was found. Jared Hill has been covering this story from the beginning and joins us now. Jared, finally the community there.
Which again, I mean, it just says, and I'm not saying that, again, I'm not putting this on the people on the actual ground. This is more, a criticism, a critique of the leadership, obviously, of the FBI. But to see that, like, there's less than 80 miles from the place that the murder was committed, from the MIT murders to where the guy was found. Like, it's not like this guy took off to fucking Mexico. It's not like he took off to Europe. You know what I mean? It's not like he took off to fucking Russia or something like that. And it made it exponentially more difficult for, again, FBI leadership to point their agents in the right direction to, again, look at the right resources, talk to the right people, figure out the right information. Just, again, he spent more time on his girlfriend's podcast. He spends more time in front of the camera and worrying about how fucking what size his jacket is and how much, FBI emblems are on it than he does actually caring about what actually happens in these cases. And again, time after time, we've seen again, Charlie Kirk's father walked the killer, walked him into the police station. This one, homeless guy, just happened to have this encounter, see the vehicle, have the wherewithal to be like, Florida plates in Providence, probably a rental, which gave them great insights, great, ability to look into who was renting cars in the area, who had rented cars, wherever they may be. Like, it's something to look at, something to look for, information they didn't have to go off of. And again, it's from a homeless guy making a Reddit post based on his just like quick interaction with this guy. And if it wasn't for that interaction, this guy would still be at large. This guy would still be, would still be talking about where this guy is, who did it, who's next type of thing. So you kind of see, it's not the leadership here of the FBI that is undoubtedly going to be patting themselves on the back at every turn.
Breathe a sigh of relief. Tell us how it unfolded.
Errol, this was really something that took a number of different days, a number of different methods and ways. One of the things we've learned here, Errol, is that this guy apparently lived in food, but
does that keep shutting off? Why do I keep seeing something flash over here? Does the video keep going down for you guys? Let me know in the chat. For some reason, I don't know. It seems like it keeps disconnecting for a second on my end. I think StreamYard's having issues, if I'm not mistaken. I do believe it's StreamYard's issues and not my issues, because I'm not pressing anything. I have about as much internet as I could possibly have. In this case, everything's connected, so it's nothing that I can do on my end. I do apologize. It's probably something going on with StreamYard that keeps popping me off real quick, because it just keeps sending me back into the original studio. It's not even taking me off the way it normally would. So my apologies, my bad. I'll do my best to kind of fiddle with it. But let's dive on to Dan Bongino getting his ass kind of made fun of by different Republicans because of what he promised he was going to do and what he actually got accomplished, which was nothing in his time in the FBI as second in charge. And again, this is Nate that we've been looking at, just to kind of show you that, it's not just, again, progressives, liberals, whatever you want to call us, lefties calling out people like Dan Bongino, making fun of people like Dan Bongino. This is, and he says it sarcastically. FBI's Dan Bongino heroically quits the FBI. And again, you can tell he's being very facetious in this regard by the way he talks about Dan Bongino. And again, we'll just play the kind of cold opening that he has. We don't have to dive into too much of the video. I just want to give you the sentiments and show you that there is still this divide, is still this rift going on between conservatives, the people they put in charge. Dan Bongino thinks he's going to be able to slip back into his podcast for so many years talking about releasing the Epstein files and wanting to see, justice and accountability in the Epstein files. And then knowing what we know now, he's just going to slip back into his podcast role and think he's going to have credibility. I don't think so. And it's not just, again, progressives like me actually realizing that and calling it out. It's Republicans, it's conservatives, it's America First people. And wait till you see the list. Wait till you see the list of things that they're mad, they're aggrieved at Dan Bongino for not arresting people about. That'll give you a really good insight as to who we're looking at here. All right, check this out.
That's right. What cause is dear to your heart?
Cause is dear to my Israel, defense of Israel.
Hey, Dan, there's actually a really easy answer to that you should use every single fucking time. And the answer to that question is America. Duh.
So again, I'll skip the intro here.
It's been a hell of a week for the FBI. So many wins, it's hard to even keep track of them. From Kash Patel doing that groundbreaking and hard-hitting interview with his girlfriend, Alexis, to now Dan Bongino has announced just one day before the release of the Epstein files that he's been helping redact since March that he is resigning. Yes, the FBI just can't stop winning, baby. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to try to see if we can figure out why Dan's making the decision to resign now of all times, and take a little trip down memory lane to see just how successful old Kash, Dan, and Pam Bondi have been as a trio in the Justice Department. So don't forget to like.
These are the people that wanted them in there. These are the people that applauded Donald Trump when he appointed Dan Bongino, when he appointed Kash Patel, when he appointed Pam Bondi, and the rest of these fucking morons, right? These are the same people that were out there like, yes, we're finally going to get to see, everything that we wanted to see. We're going to see arrests in the Russia. Like, check this out. Look at this list that he puts up. Let me see. I'll see if I can scroll. Yeah, look at this list that he puts up on the screen here. So this is the arrests made counter. So this is what this America First platform, this is what they're pissed off at Dan Bongino for. So basically, the fact that he made no arrests in the Russia hoax, as they call it, Benghazi, COVID, they didn't arrest Fauci. Nobody in the January 6th committee was arrested. Nobody was arrested for the Biden auto pen. I don't know what fast and furious means, but they wanted people arrested for Burisma, the Afghanistan withdrawal, the Epstein files, Hillary's emails, cocaine at the White House, DOJ findings, Hunter's laptop, 2020 election, Biden family corruption. Right. So these are all promises made, apparently, by Dan Bongino, by other people, by these MAGA folks that promised their base that they were going to arrest and find people accountable for all of these things. Remember it? Like, I remember very, very clearly to this day that they said Fauci was going to be arrested. They were talking about Hunter Biden and his dealings with Burisma, his laptop, right? They were going to finally arrest Hillary for the emails. The Afghanistan withdrawal was going to lead to arrests. COVID handling was going to lead to arrest, even though that was under Donald Trump's administration. So I'm not sure they quite understand that one, why they have that one on the list, right? Anybody involved with the Russia hoax was going to be arrested and thrown in prison. That's all the promises that were made by these idiots on their podcast, right? The conspiracy theories that they talked about and how they kind of wound up their base, wound up their cult to hope for, to wish for, to expect accountability in all of these regards. And again, you can see here, they're calling out their own. They didn't do anything they said they were going to do. Dan Bongino didn't do anything as far as the Epstein files, right? The main thing probably that he said he was going to be involved in, making sure they were released and making sure that everybody's, was names was out there and people were held accountable and that type of shit. Nope. What he do? He announced his retirement the day before, the information was supposed to come out. Or as, again, as I predicted, and again, nobody seemingly has proven me wrong yet, Dan Bongino only resigned and quit the time he did because he knows what Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi are now about to pull and how they're trying to string this out, or how much they've redacted, or how they've overstepped their boundaries, or it was against the law not to comply with Donald Trump's orders and the law that he signed to have all the information out by tonight at midnight. Whatever it might be, you can see that Bongino saw some hot water coming from not only him, but people in the administration, and he wants to remove himself from that as soon as humanly possible. But yes, this is the list that they talk about of things they want to see and people held accountable for, just to give you some representation, some idea of who we're watching, right? He's got the America First hat on, America First sweatshirt, right? He talks about watching Nick Fuentes. So again, this isn't lefty, progressive, liberal podcast. These are people that Dan Bongino typically wants to have watch his shows, typically wants to have watch his podcasts and support him in his endeavors. And they're just doing anything but. They've completely turned on their own. And this goes right along the lines of the ongoing MAGA civil war, whether it's Candace Owens and Tim Pool, or Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan, or Benny Johnson, or whoever it might be, Ben Shapiro, you name it. And they all have their little fights going on, their little infighting, their little fucking, ploy to get more watchers on their podcast. They're all kind of envious of Candace Owens and, the live streams, that the numbers on the live streams that she's seen, the numbers, just in general that her show, her podcast, her channel has seen. And it's kind of, turned into this little scrap, not little, big scrap that's going on inside the base. And it's diverting their focus. It's diverting their attention away from the critical issues, away from what the American people are saying and doing and how they're feeling and how they're voting, right? We talk about the successes that Democrats have seen either in winning these recent elections or just overperforming in these recent elections in a wide variety of positions in areas in this country, whether it's deep south, whether it's north, east, west. We've seen, the numbers. We've seen the American people speak up in ways that are pretty clear about the grievances they have about what the Trump administration is now currently doing, both domestically and in our foreign policies. So, just to kind of, again, we don't have to dive into too much of this, but I just wanted to show you, that this is still persisting. People are not going to let Dan Bongino off the hook. They're not going to just allow him, and he references that in that video. He's not going to just be able to slip back into his podcasting role and expect to have credibility and be able to talk about these things that he had real and true power to affect, right? So you can't remove yourself from being second in charge at the FBI and then go on to criticize and critique things like what the FBI are doing, or say this, that, or the other thing should have been done. You just came from that fucking power, brother. You know what I mean? So you've lost all credibility to critique that if you've removed yourself voluntarily from that position. So again, I'm sure there'll be more instances like this, and I'm sure there are more instances like this of right-wing podcast, right-wing commentators actually, saying similar things to what lefties, progressives are saying in terms of calling out Dan Bongino, calling out the FBI, calling out Cat Patel, calling out this administration. So again, it's funny how they sound a lot like what we're sounding like at this point, but they hate us so much, right? And speaking of hating people so much, why don't we dive into this? Because this is a good video here in the Humanist Report where he has compiled 8 different instances They're some racists, and he tells us the hard way. They can't get away with bigotry just because Trump can. And this is a good example of how, open bigotry, open racism has become the norm, has become normalized by people like Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and the GOP. That it's becoming more prominent, people feeling more comfortable. Sorry, people feel sorry. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm gonna write a strongly worded letter to StreamYard when I get off this. As soon as I get off, I'm getting a strongly worded letter from Chuck Schumer together, and we're sending it right to StreamYard. I'm telling you. Sorry, my apologies. But yes, this is basically a couple videos compiled by the Humanist Report here, Mike Figueredo. And let me throw this back on the screen since they continuously kick me off. I apologize, guys. I'm sorry about that. But again, it's nothing that I'm doing here. Again, it's not an internet problem. It's not anything that I'm touching. It's got to be a StreamYard issue. So my apologies. But let's put this on the screen. Let's take a look at some of these instances in which, again, some people, these bigots, have been called out or put in their place or fucked around and found out. But again, you can see just how comfortable people are in today's day and age talking about and demeaning immigrants, talking about go back to your country. Right. And this has all been normalized and kind of thrown into existence by the GOP, by Donald Trump. And this is what it's now led to. So let's check out a few of these instances here. First one, obviously, a white Karen talking about she wants her money back because they're speaking Spanish or something like that. I mean, this is basically the gist and how stupid the majority of these are. But let's check out a few of these. Again, I like the old fuck around and find out style of people. So when they're called out, when they're blasted all over social media, all over the internet as the assholes, as the fucking losers and decrepit morons that they are, I love it. I can't get enough of it. So whoever this woman is, I hope she has her fucking fun in the sun. I hope she's had her, 2 minutes in the spotlight here and that her face gets blasted everywhere if it already hasn't been. So let's check this out.
English is the capital of America.
I got a free phone. English is the capital of America. Okay, so I guess the moral of this story isn't going to be how educated they are. That's clear right off the bat. Immigrant. And again, subscribe to Mike's channel if you're not already, The Humanist Report. He does great work over there as well.
Racist bigots have really been letting their freak flags fly ever since Donald Trump came back into office. But one by one, they're learning the hard way that they're not able to get away with racism just because Donald Trump can. And as depressing as it is to see the Twitterification of our culture, it is nice to know that there's...
And geez, a little bit off topic and a little bit ahead of the time, but when we got into Ukraine, the amount... I don't even know how to really put this. It is absolutely incredible. The amount of pro-Russian propaganda, the amount of pro-Russia accounts on Twitter right now, like it is completely like you would not be remiss, like you would not be, nobody would fault you for thinking right now if you were to go on Twitter, which again, commentators typically have to do to find out, different news channels, follow different accounts, find out what people are saying, that sort of stuff, right? But that's the only reason I know it. It is unbelievable. You would not be mistaken if you were like, oh, this is just a Kremlin this is just a Kremlin website now. This is just straight. This is what Vladimir Putin opens up in the morning when he wakes up in his fucking bed in the Kremlin. This is what he must open and look at. This is what it's become. It is fucking outrageously pro-Russia right now. To an extent, I don't think people actually saw coming, really. It's crazy. And I know that's a little bit of an aside, and I apologize. But just him mentioning how decrepit and ridiculous Twitter is right now kind of jogged that in my memory. But here we go.
Still at least some consequences for racist shitheads who've deluded themselves into thinking that they can get away with what they say on social media in real life. So without further ado, let's look at some examples of white supremacists fucking around and finding out. Starting with a woman who I'm going to call Pizza Hut Karen, who decided to harass a couple for daring to speak Spanish because, according to her, English is the capital of America. So you can't do that, apparently. Now, the Karen in question tried to make them feel unwelcome and told them to go back to Mexico. But in the end, she was the one who felt unwelcomed because her racist ass got kicked out of the store. And her reaction was priceless when the employee told her that he wasn't going to serve her.
What's your problem? Right, America, English.
You guys.
I was born and raised here too, and all I speak is English.
I'm bilingual, so I speak Spanish and I speak English. What other language you speak?
English is the capital of America.
English is the capital of America, she says. Jesus H. Christ. Oh my God. And the good comeback by the guy too, whoever's filming. He's like, listen, I speak 2 languages. I'm bilingual. I speak Spanish and English. What do you speak, motherfucker, besides pizza?
I don't care. I don't care.
Mexico.
No, Mexico. I'm from Cuba. I'm from Puerto Rico.
I go back to Puerto Rico.
Go back to Puerto Rico. Again, the sentiment made fucking normalized by the president that everybody, even when they do see themselves being recorded and filmed, don't give a shit anymore. Because again, it's been normalized. They've been given tacit permission by their president, by their Führer, to talk and act and speak like this. So they don't care. They see it. Oh, yeah, film me. Go ahead. Donald Trump will probably fucking repost this on True Social. They don't care.
We pay taxes here, man. What are you talking about?
You pay taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still are money to pay taxes.
Hell no. I work. I had 2 jobs. So what are you talking about?
I'm standing up for America.
I'm a U.S. citizen too. What are you talking about? Excuse me, man. Just being racist to me.
So again, now this is the point in time where the 2 people that were, obviously this lady's being directly racist towards, go and they contact the people in the pizza shop and they're like, hey, what the fuck's going on? I'm just trying to get, sit here and frequent your establishment. I'm trying to get a pizza. This lady's being blatantly bigoted, blatantly racist to me. And good on the workers in this fucking pizza place, because they go on to, comfort the 2, the 2 people there, one from Puerto Rico, one from Cuba. And they give this lady her money back and say, here, take your fucking money elsewhere. Your business is not wanted here. Fucking hit the road, lady. And then they apologize to the 2 people. So good on whatever store this is. And I hope that the store is named at least so they can get a little recognition for having, good, sound, humble people working in their establishment.
Does it speak Spanish? Should be racist, man.
Really?
What the we got a video, so it's okay. Okay. You should speak Hold on, man. We pay taxes too. We deserve to live here. What are you talking about? What's your problem?
Hey, I'm going to give you your money back. We're not going to serve you. I'm sorry about that.
So that's one of the workers at the pizza place saying, hey, lady, I'm going to give you your money back. We're not going to serve you today. We don't stand for shit like that. And they continue. They even make it more of a point.
You have to serve me.
Hey, I got a video. Don't cry, baby. Don't cry. It's okay. Don't cry.
One second.
Dang, don't cry, baby.
Hey, Colby. Come here, please.
Don't cry. Man, we haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah. No, I understand. I got you.
She's got money because I'm speaking Spanish. Come on, don't cry, baby. Don't cry. Man, we are in the century 21. How she's gonna be racist?
I am not racist.
Yes, you are.
I am standing up for America.
I got you in the video.
Yeah.
I got you in the video.
No, I'm not racist.
Ma'am, you can go ahead and leave.
I got you in the video.
Yeah.
So?
Ma'am, Mary, you can leave. Leave.
That's real about man.
Yeah, let's have her leave.
That's real about man.
You're
not
gone.
doing nothing wrong.
Man, we're not gonna serve you.
Damn, that's real about man.
Bro, I'm sorry. We appreciate you guys as customers.
Good on those employees.
Right, and absolutely, you can hear him say at the end there, we appreciate you guys, sorry about that. I'm sure he goes on to, again, be further apologetic, and you can see it's a black man, so obviously he understands, better than anybody, I'm sure, to a point what those people are actually feeling in that circumstance, right? So good on the workers there, good on that business. I'm not sure if they actually say what the pizza place is or not, whether that's a request made by the owner or whatnot. But I would hope if they are okay with their name being out there, that place definitely get recognition for hiring great workers in their place. But yeah, it goes on because there's more. And again, just for the sake of time, we'll go on. I'll skip on to this next one, which is another white Karen who doesn't like hearing Spanish.
What's wrong with that? Because you're not American, dude. I will look you the fuck up and get you the fuck out of our town. Okay? Fuck you. Give me my money back. I'm not giving my money to some illegal immigrant. I don't care. You gotta. You're in America. You're supposed to learn English.
Now, I was born. I was literally put on this fucking this earth, this fucking rock that we now inhabit. Like the one thing that I was built for was this type of situation, right? And I don't give a flying fuck who you are. I don't care if you're male, female, black, white. I don't give a fuck, right? If you're doing something like this, if you're being this fucking asshole, and I was born to be in this type of situation to make you feel like the most fucking small human being on the face of the planet. I was born to put you in your fucking place in situations just like this, bitch. Okay? So please, for the love of fucking God, let this fucking happen to me just once with these fucking racist scumbags. Try to pull this shit somewhere where I'm trying to frequent. Please, for the love of God. Please, for the love of God.
Well, then you got Spanish on your TV. That's a fuck you to Americans, dude.
The Spanish on the TV is a fuck you to Americans? Jesus H. Christ.
My fucking father was a World War II veteran, okay?
And he would be so fucking utterly ashamed at the way you're behaving right now. He would be fucking turning over in his grave if he saw the way his fucking bitch daughter was treating human beings right now. Human beings that he sacrificed his fucking livelihood for, that he gave up his fucking, his best years of his life. He went thousands of miles away from his family with people he didn't know to help people he didn't know that was speaking a language he didn't know in a country he was unfamiliar with so that they could have democracy, so they could have freedom, so that they weren't oppressed and treated just like the way you're fucking treating these people right now. If your father can see this, he'd probably spit in your fucking face.
Friends and family dying. So you can sit here right now and make money. And you're going to do this kind of shit. Give me my money back. Give me my money back right now. I want my money back, okay? You don't understand. You're too young to have any kind of respect. Go check it, okay? I'm a CPA, certified public accountant. You probably even know what that means, do you?
What did she say she was? Did she just give her job description? Would she say she was a CT or something? C something?
CPA, certified public accountant. You probably even know what that means.
It says certified something. I could see in the caption certified something, but I don't think it picked up the second thing she said. But if she works with kids, or if she works with, I don't know, a mentally challenged, whatever it may be, like this lady needs to be fucking removed from her job immediately. If she has any contact with children or, again, people in need, fuck that. Last person I'd want my kids with.
And she's videotaping me.
Yeah, because you're racist. You're racist.
No,
yes,
no,
you are.
You're a victim.
You're racist.
You're a victim.
I'm not a victim.
You're a
no,
victim.
I'm not.
No, I'm an American.
No, you're a racist. You're a racist.
You're a victim.
You're a
You're
racist.
the racist.
No,
You're
I'm not
a
racist. I'm not over here trying to get my money back because you're shopping at a pizza shop.
You're the racist. I'm going to film you right now. And I got 4,000 followers.
This is our first Karen. Oh my God.
Can you fucking imagine? I'm going to film you now after I was just blatantly racist on fucking film after I've already been recorded for quite some time now. And then I'm going to be like, I'm going to show you to my 4,000 followers. Wow. Like if it wasn't cringeworthy enough to begin with, Karen had to add the 4,000 follower mark that she hit recently. And this is the video that she's going to put out. Unreal. Talk about fucking privilege, right?
I've been here. I've been in Hafro over 100 years.
So you're going to share with everyone?
Did she just say she's over 100 years old? Hold on. Did she just say she's been here for over 100 years?
I've been here. I've been in Hafro over 100 years.
So you're going to share?
I'm sorry. What are you living in? Dog lives? Do you go by dog years or what's? You've been here for over 100 years?
Share with everybody that you're racist?
No,
Yeah,
you're racist,
no.
honey. You're racist.
It's crazy to me how they will never admit that they're racist, even when they're caught in 4K. Because to them, being called a racist is somehow more egregious than racism itself, because they don't view it as an objective description of their behavior. They take it as an arbitrary insult because they lack self-awareness and intelligence and can't comprehend how such a judgment could possibly be made about them. But how about this? If you don't want to be called a racist, stop being a fucking racist. It really...
Pretty simple, pretty clear, pretty concise. And this goes on too. Here's another one. Let me see. I think there was, let's see here. Yeah, there was this one here in the parking lot as well. Let's see if I can do this one because this kind of is a dead giveaway. There's, this one. Ready?
Their full chest right on camera. And we're going to watch the video, and then I'm going to tell you what happened to these assholes afterwards.
Oh my God, don't do that. What the fuck are you doing? Get away out, come on, God.
So, and again, just in case you're watching, it says on the screen, disturbing moment as 3 teens harass an Indian Muslim couple. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe this is in Canada.
Hey, can you call 911, please? Yeah. You know the place, you retard. Why did you approach like that? Because you're black. You banged my car. No, I didn't touch you.
Said, why did you approach like that? The answer, I don't know if you could hear it, says, because you're black.
Okay. No. I got your license plate.
Did I touch you?
I got your license plate.
Hey, Big Nose, did I touch you?
Oh, and he says, hey, Big Nose, right? And again, a dead giveaway here is the hat. I don't know if you can make out what the hat is, but it says Happy Dad. And if I'm not mistaken, that's a Nelk Boys product. Nelk Boys Happy Dad. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to see here. Just put yeah, there it is. Here, check this out. So that shirt that he's wearing, you can see here, is a product of the Nelk Boys. The Nelk Boys were the ones that were ripped to shreds for their ridiculous interview and sit down with Benjamin Netanyahu and asking him about fucking McDonald's and Burger King and shit. You know, these morons here. So that Happy Dad, you can see, is the same symbol that he's got on his hat, right? When we go back into the other one. So, I mean, tells you a lot about what these people watch, kind of like the Andrew Tates type of morons. So, again, tells you a lot about what you can expect from these people. So, right along line with how you'd expect them to act in public. Good look for Happy Dad, by the way. Good look. Hope all of them get that hat on.
Answer my question, you fucking.
I mean, that's a fucking hard eye. I'm sorry. That was one of the hard eyes I've heard. And again, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe this is in Canada. I might be wrong. I'll let it stay, and we can figure that out. But that was a seriously hard eye Canadian. Jesus.
Embarrassing.
He screams it again.
This is your reminder that racists are also incredibly stupid. And that's not a coincidence, by the way. And found out because local convenience outlet Kawartha now reports after the videos were posted, several people recognized and identified all of the men who were in the
He's got the same hat on. See the hat? So he has the same hat on. They all have that same Happy Dad hat on. Tells you exactly what you need to know. The fucking Nelk Boy followers. And this says that as soon as this, and again, people these days, are you dumb enough to think that if this video actually makes it to social media, that people aren't going to recognize your dumbass truck or your dumbass face or your dumbass voice? I mean, come on. And this says right here, it didn't take very long for people to recognize the truck, recognize the people. And then one of them was actually arrested. I'll let him go on and explain. But one of them was actually arrested and charged with uttering threats to cause bodily harm and death.
Investigation into the incident included viewing the videos. As a result of the investigation and following consultation with the Crown Attorney's Office, an 18-year-old man from the city of Kawartha Lakes was arrested and charged with uttering threats to cause death or bodily harm. The accused man has been released on an undertaking and will appear in court September 16th. According to a media release from Peterborough Police, there is no specific charge for hate crime in Canada that applies to the incident. However, the release states there is a hate crime element to this case, and that will be addressed as the case moves through the court process. Now, I couldn't find it.
Yeah, not as like just a crime, but a hate crime, and I'm pretty sure that's probably taken seriously in Canada, right? I have a slight inclination that they kind of take that shit seriously, and this is one of the better ones too. This is one of the better ones that I want to show, because this is again at I'm not sure what university this is, but somebody kind of runs into the classroom. You can just see him here in the blue shirt. He gives the Heil Hitler, so he gives the Nazi salute. And he is quite literally chased out and when I say out of the room, out of campus, out of the building by the entire fucking psych class. Like, I'm talking professor, students. Check this out. This is pretty cool to see.
Get out.
You can see the guy doing here just in the background. You can see right where the mouse is. He's back in the front there doing the Nazi salute. I'm sure he's probably been in there for a few seconds and probably even said some racist shit, but you can see kids already sprinting. Like this kid going by the camera now. Wait till you see this kid go by. Like they're already sprinting down to chase this kid out.
What the fuck?
You see this kid, watch this kid flying by. This kid comes flying by. This kid comes flying by. They chase him out. Right, so the whole fucking class is cheering. You'd be like, okay, that's the end of it, right? Nope. So this is on the left-hand side. This is the footage from the class on this side. And then on the right-hand side is actually footage from this fucking asshole right? So this is what this kid's looking at. And what he's looking at is the entire Psych 210 class chasing him off the campus. Check this out.
Yo, they had a 30v1 me.
That's the professor. Yeah. So there's the teacher. There's the professor. Straight off, flipping him off, giving him the finger, right? Not playing any fucking games, not giving any fucks whatsoever, right? Not afraid of any retributions, just being like, hey, fascist piece of shit, get the fuck out of here. And look at the class behind her. Look how many people. Look how many people in the class are behind her. The whole fucking class.
You keep teaching this degenerate nonsense? You keep teaching these kids degenerate nonsense? What? Yeah, degenerate nonsense. Degenerate nonsense. What? What? Yeah, all you guys.
Oh, it's literally the entire fucking class.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh my God.
Look at the professor. This is the, if I'm not mistaken, this is the professor in a dead sprint chasing a fascist off campus. I mean, bravo, 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 fucking oh. I mean, come on.
Yo, fucking not. Oh. Yo, they're gonna beat his ass. Oh shit! Oh shit! He's gonna ask me! Oh shit! Oh shit! Now, bud.
So then from this point on, you can say he gets exactly what he fucking deserves, right? Not only the embarrassment of the entire psych class. Again, what the fuck does the psych class have anything to do with like his aggrievements? Like what could possibly be taught in this Psych 210 class that he went in there and had to like represent with the Heil Hitler, had to represent with the fucking Nazi salute? I don't know. But Psych 210, whatever school this is, again, just like it says on the screen, they do not fucking play around.
Oh shit! That's really? Are you fucking serious? What did you?
So again, just pretty cool sight to see. Again, anytime you can see a fascist run off a campus by not only the entire class but also the professor leading the charge, we're gonna play here. We're gonna play here on Blunt Politics because that's definitely something. And then I think there was one more, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if there was one more that I missed here. Was it this one? Let me see.
He pissed off the entire community that he lives in, and a local news report breaks down the entire situation where you kind of see the backlash that he's now experiencing.
Zach Siegel is the president of the Boston University College Republicans. We talked to him in September after Charlie Kirk was killed. Siegel is now claiming on social media that he is the reason ICE showed up at an Alston car wash earlier this month and hauled off 9 employees.
It's frankly appalling to see somebody that's proud of destroying an entire family, an entire community. These people, all 9 of them, no criminal records
It's my local news channel, WCBB5.
at all yet. He's referring to them as criminals.
Todd Pomerleau is the attorney who represents the 9 detainees, 5 women and 4 men. He says Siegel, who was born in London and schooled in the UK, according to the BU Athletics website, certainly can exercise his First Amendment rights here in the U.S. But Pomerleau finds his arguments ironic.
He's talked about how these jobs are being taken by 9 people working at a car wash. Well, he's taking up a college student seat who's from America by his same rationale.
The 9 workers were detained.
I mean, no way you can pretty much combat that, right? I mean, he's talking about immigrants taking jobs. Meanwhile, he's an immigrant from London, from England, taking a spot in a college that could have been taken up by somebody in our country.
On the morning of November 4th.
Again, putting his own thoughts in rhetoric against him.
Pomerleau says many of them do hold legal status and valid work permits.
Basically, this is a story of that asshole who pretty much is taking credit for ICE in there. And I'm sure at some point he feels the backlash of the community here, right?
This attention, and in a way I don't want to draw more attention to his behavior because a lot of people can agree that it was hateful and disgusting and shameful.
Now, the president of the university saying in a statement, quote, "We must affirm the dignity and worth of all people. Too often we fail to see one another's full humanity, overlooking the rich complexity and unique gifts each person brings." Now, by the way, BU student newspaper here publishing a story on this on the front page. They reported that the campus Republicans were planning on hosting a speaking event with the director of immigration studies last night, but that event was canceled at the last minute when students made it clear that they would protest.
Yeah, turns out.
So because of a protest on the BU campus, they were no longer going to hold that meeting. Again, this is the head of the Republicans at Boston University trying to affiliate themselves with ICE, trying to basically, feed people to ICE, give them different businesses to fucking to go raid. Right? I mean, it's fucking wrong on so many different levels. And it's, good to see it called out by other people on campus to a point where they actually had to cancel that meeting they were going to have with the immigration leader. Right? So again, good to see there where racist bigots and assholes and Karens fucking around and finding out and really quickly finding out that it's not as normalized. That behavior has not been as normalized as they would like it to be, right? There are still absolutely people going to call their ass out, going to throw them out of the business, going to chase them off of campus when they think that they're, because, the president of the United States now is espousing some of these same beliefs and some of the same rhetoric, that they're free and clear to do the same thing without, ramifications, without fear of anybody doing or saying anything back to them, right? Free speech gives you the ability to say, what you want, but it doesn't give you it doesn't keep you free from ramifications. It doesn't keep you free from, people saying things back in retaliation or in response to the things that you say, or you being held accountable for the things that you say. You can say it, but you're certainly going to be fucking held to account, right? Don't be afraid, don't be scared, or don't be pissed off when someone steps up to you and uses their free rights, their First Amendment rights, to combat your bullshit. So that's what they love to have. They want free speech for them, but not free speech for everybody else. But again, let's dive into this next aspect. How are we doing on time? What do we got? 12:15. We're doing all right. So there's a few different aspects as far as what's going on and taking place between the EU and Ukraine, and also some frontline updates as well. But I just wanted to dive into this real quick if I could, because this is, we've been talking about a lot recently about how the EU and NATO, they need to step up, and Ukraine needs to really start to, not that they haven't, but, come to terms with the fact that Donald Trump is just never going to do everything that is necessary to be done for Ukraine to defeat Russia in the quickest possible terms, right? Or get the best possible outcome from the peace terms and the negotiations now ongoing, or whatever they want to call them, from Donald Trump. It's just not going to happen. So to see that the EU leaders have agreed on, and I've seen anywhere from 90 billion euros to 105 billion euros be reported as far as this deal and loan going to Ukraine. So obviously some good news as far as this is concerned. That looks like the EU once again stepping up in realization that, they're going to have to be doing a lot more and take over from, the load that was being carried or should have been carried by the United States, but isn't because of who we have in charge right now. So again, just good to see that actions are still continuously being taken and that the EU is stepping up where the United States is not. So just a minute or two of this, and then we're going to dive into what has been undoubtedly a rough stretch for Russia over the last week or so in particular, if not longer. But again, this is a Preston Stewart video, going to give us some updates on what's been taking place on the front lines. And then we have a few more videos to get to as well. I know Arturehi here wants to talk about Russians that are surrounded in Kupiansk as well. So stick with me. I do appreciate it. And again, anybody that has sent in a super sticker, super chat, if you've sent in a Venmo, which is up here in the corner, all I ask for is a buck or two, ladies and gentlemen, to keep this show going, keep the lights on, keep some food in my belly so that I'm able to bring you guys the news and the highlights and my opinions every single day like I want to. And again, I take absolutely no corporate backing, no sponsors. I don't sell you anything, nothing hidden behind a paywall. All of my content is 100% totally free. Nothing that I ever do say will ever be hidden behind some sort of paywall that you have to pay for. All I ask is that if you're in the financial position to do so, you're not too squeezed by Trump's economy, if you're not too squeezed by the holiday season, if you have a buck somewhere hiding around in that purse or in the couch, throw it into the Venmo, throw it into the chat. Again, a super chat of $1 or $2 from everybody goes a long, long way in helping these channels. So I hate the self-promotional side of this. I hate it. But again, it's something that I have to do. So again, patreon.com/BostonBrian. There's a Venmo up in the corner. You can sign up for channel memberships just underneath me here, or you can be, you can can send in a super chat or a super sticker or gift memberships in the chat. So thank you guys. And I do highlight and recognize everybody at the end of the show. If you send in any one of those things, don't be afraid if I don't, see it go by in the chat. I always recognize and highlight every single one of you guys at the end of the show. So stick around for that. All right, let's dive into what the EU leaders now agreeing on a 90 billion euro. And again, I've heard anywhere from 90 billion to 105 billion dollars euros being loaned to Ukraine. So let's dive into this. I appreciate you guys.
I'm Stephen Beardsley in Berlin. Welcome to our program. A marathon EU summit in Brussels has concluded with an agreement to support Ukraine with a massive loan for its war against Russia. EU leaders have agreed to provide Kyiv with 90 billion euros to meet its military and economic needs for the next 2 years. Repayment would only begin once Russia pays reparations to Ukraine after the war. Discussions continued into the early hours after an earlier plan to use frozen Russian assets fell through. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz labeled the new agreement a clear signal to Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
I still don't understand why it's so difficult to get that amendment or whatever you want to call it, to use the frozen Russian assets, again, to help the people of Ukraine, to assist in this fight, to take that money and put it to good use. I don't understand why that's still such like a hard stipulation for people to get over. Like, wouldn't that be the easiest? Like, wouldn't that be it doesn't come from any country. It doesn't come from, one country in particular. Like, it's coming from the people that perpetrated this war. So wouldn't it be the most useful to use their own funds that we froze, the assets that we froze, the yachts and shit that we stole, to, again, continuously fund or do, at least fund in part what's going on and what we need to send over to Ukraine? It just, I don't know. I don't understand why that's still such a huge kind of sticking point.
Putin. Moments ago, EU Council President Antonio Costa gave more details about the agreement.
And again, I just want to hear a couple of the details about the agreement, and then we'll hop on to some of what's been going on with the front lines and Russia's struggles over the last several days, if not several weeks. So again, I just want to see if there's any more detail, any more information on what actually this deal entails.
Today, we approved a decision to provide 90 billion euros to Ukraine for the next 2 years. As a matter of urgency, we will provide a loan backed by the European Union budget. This will address the urgent financial needs of Ukraine. And Ukraine will only repay this loan once Russia pays reparations.
Now, that's huge, right? That's huge, because it both, on one hand, stipulates that, okay, Ukraine's not on the hook for any repayment until reparations are made from Russia. And on the other hand, makes it very, very visible, very public that they are demanding reparations from Russia to pay Ukraine for them perpetrating this war, right? So this is kind of a twofold announcement here by saying, okay, listen, we're not playing fucking, we're not going to play this. Let's give Russia everything that they want and not punish them at all for this. They're absolutely going to be expected to pay reparations. And not only that, this loan repayment isn't going to happen until Russia pays those reparations. So again, a big point in this, good to stipulate.
The Union reserves its right to make use of the immobilized asset to repay this loan.
Our correspondent Jack Perrick has been following the discussion from Brussels. He joins me now. Jack, it's taken a while, but we have a funding agreement for Ukraine. It's in place for the next 2 years. Is this what Europe and Ukraine ultimately wanted?
Well, they definitely wanted the money, and that's what the Ukrainians needed. And that's why so many of the leaders at the end of this summit are trying to paint this as a win. Frankly, Stephen, the best way to describe this is Plan B. This was the second option on the table, to use essentially the European Union's power to be able to raise collective debt in order to fund Ukraine. And we now know that 90 billion will go over the next 2 years. The European
And this is, again, only being like, this is only having to be hashed out because of the inability, the ineffectiveness, the inefficiency of Donald Trump and the United States administration to do what's right for the Europeans, to do what's right for the Ukrainians, to put the pressure on the Russians. So again, when you talk about here, this is like Plan B. This is okay. This is basically, we're doing this without the cooperation of the United States. So what else can we get done with just our European partners, our European allies, to further assist in the fight against Russia, to help Ukraine, to make it seem like, and to make it very very clear that we're going to continue to support this country in their fight against Russia. So again, on one hand, this is another aspect of Donald Trump's corruption, his inability to pressure Vladimir Putin, his inability to see what's actually taking place on the ground, who was the perpetrator, who's the victim, right? And to not think about it just in the terms of how he can enrich himself, his family, how he can look like a big, strong, tough guy, right? He's just, none of that is taking place. So again, good to see that at least the European Union, even though it may be a plan B type of thing, is doing what they need to do to ensure at least 90 to 100 billion euros going to Ukraine for the next 2 years. So that's obviously good to see, obviously good to report, as much as we definitely need to make everybody aware that this is solely because of the inability of Donald Trump and the United States administration to do what's right on the world stage. All right, so let's dive into, again, taking that into account in that information. Let's dive into what's been taking place on the front lines, if I can. And it's been a rough stretch for Russia, to say the least. Again, this is Preston Stewart. Anybody that's not subscribed to Preston, please head over there and subscribe to him. He's just on the cusp of 1 million subscribers. He got about 984. So again, if we could be any assistance, any help in getting him towards the 1 million subscriber mark, then I would be very greatly appreciative of that. But yes, he's given great insights, great reporting on all things what's taking place in Ukraine on the front lines, as well as many other channels that we can look at to get the full of what's actually taking place. But yes, this is talking about the rough stretch for Russia over the last, again, several days, if not several weeks. And see if we can just dive into this. And this is again going to be talking about combating their assaults, combating their propaganda, and how all of that stuff is pretty much this again in a second. If it's about to send me out again. All right, let's see if we can get into it.
So it's a rough couple days for Russia. I mean, it looks like overnight Ukrainian drones hit a Russian MiG-31, a pan-Syrian defense system, and multiple S-400 radars and launchers. Meanwhile, Russia just got called out for showing a fake video pretending to show their troops beyond.
Oh, that was a good one too. Russian propaganda, as we've been talking about here, just not living up to its potential. Just reputation for being good at propaganda is just really falling by the wayside, because they put out a video from what was supposedly Russian soldiers in a specific area in Kupiansk, which was geolocated by a smart, really incredible people on the internet. And guess what? They weren't where they said they were. Right. So it was a big lie. So the things that they say and were claiming about Volodymyr Zelensky's address from Kupiansk were the exact same things that they themselves were trying to attempt and trying to perpetrate as far as propaganda. So you can see how, it's all pure projection when it comes to not only the Russians, but also the GOP and the Republican Party as well.
Submarine that was hit a few days ago down in Crimea.
And again, just the number of stuff that he just said was hit. Listen to what he said was hit. I mean, it takes him about 2, maybe 3 seconds to talk about the equipment that Ukraine has struck, when in reality that's about, I don't know, $10 million, if not more, of equipment they destroyed. Listen.
So it's been a rough couple days for Russia. I mean, it looks like overnight Ukrainian drones hit a Russian MiG-31.
So a MiG-31 right away. I mean, we can talk about an astronomical price for a MiG-31.
Pan-Seer air defense system and
an air defense system. We know those aren't cheap.
Multiple S-400 radars.
Multiple S-400 radars. Again, not cheap. So again, the 10 million definitely on the low side of what these strikes cost Russia.
And launchers. Meanwhile, Russia just got called out for showing a fake video pretending to show their troops in Kupiansk. And that submarine that was hit a few days ago down in Crimea, yeah, pretty sure it sustained some serious damage. Now, starting with the strikes overnight in Crimea, Ukraine's SBU released these photos where they say last night long-range drones from the Alpha Special Operations Center successfully targeted components of the Russian air defense system at Belbek Military Airport in temporarily occupied Crimea. They say as a result of the strikes, the following were destroyed: a MiG-31 aircraft with full arsenal, meaning fully loaded, ready for takeoff. Likely the reason it was sitting out on the runway and not parked somewhere or even underneath a shelter. The Pan-Seer S-2 anti-aircraft missile system, 2 Nebo SVU long-range radar detection systems, and a 92 N6 radar, which is a component of the S-400 Triumph anti-aircraft missile system. Now, as of right now, we don't...
I mean, that is huge. Let me see if I can just real quick. We'll do S-400... just to give you a rough estimate on cost. Let's see, military cost real quick. It says here the price of a Russian S-400 missile system battery varies significantly, generally ranging from around $400 million to over $1 billion for export. Holy shit. So I was way off. I was way off on the fucking 10 billion. I mean, we're talking 10 billion just in the MiG, the 10 million. It's saying over $400 million. And again, supposedly a couple of them were taken out, right? And it depends. It says it can, it can vary extensively here. One says $500 million, signing a $250 billion, $2.5 billion deal for 2 systems, roughly $1.25 billion each. Domestic Russian costs are lower, around $500 million for a battery and missiles. So again, you can tell the impact if we continuously strike at these missile systems, the financial impact, the inability to reproduce these systems as well will have a huge impact.
Of these strikes, which is a little bit unique. We're getting spoiled to kind of expect videos of every one of these announcements. In this case, we've just got the pictures released by the SBU. I should note that the Russian sources right now seem to be citing the SBU report. I've not seen any additional commentary or explanation from the Russian side, but I've also not seen anyone disputing that these strikes were carried out. So we'll keep an eye out for the footage to be released here, hopefully in the next day or two. Generally in Crimea, we see not just aircraft targeted and submarines a couple days ago, but a lot of air defense radars. And these radar systems we've talked about before are very expensive, very precise to manufacture, very hard to reproduce. So if you only have launchers, for instance, your air defense assets are not going to be very effective. The radars are arguably the most important part of that entire system, so they can identify an incoming threat.
Right, which is why those are the main targets, probably the first ones that the Ukrainians are going to strike, because without those specific, installations, then the rest of the equipment is pretty much, just fucking paperweights.
The missile or a drone or an aircraft, and then the launcher, of course, carries out the interception. So we're seeing a lot of radars hit, not that many launchers. Till last night, we did get some footage showing actually in Belgorod, Ukraine taking out a couple, at least one, maybe 2 S-400 launchers. And this
is pretty clear footage of an S-400 launcher being struck here, as you can see on the screen. And in case you're just watching, what we're seeing on the screen is clearly 2 what looks to be S-400 launchers, vehicles on a dirt track. It is very clear from the footage that we're watching that the first one in the track gets struck by what looks to be, incoming artillery, an incoming drone, incoming missile, something like that. But the explosion is pretty obvious and clear.
Ukraine taking out a couple, at least 1, maybe 2 S-400 launchers. And this one here, this footage was released by the Ukrainian military, but verified through a number of Russian sources.
And you can see here, which is kind of, we didn't see a strike on the second one, but you can see a plume of smoke coming from this second launcher here. I mean, you can see from the first strike how quickly the first vehicle stops in its tracks. So this first one will keep rolling after the strike, and you can see the second vehicle stops immediately.
At least 1,
so
maybe 2
S-400. That one stopped immediately. This one keeps rolling a little bit after the strike. But then when this angle changes, see no smoke coming out of the second one yet, just above my head, right? Just above my head right here. So you see no smoke coming out of it right here. And then watch when they go to the second angle, you can see what looks to be a small plume of smoke coming out of that second
launchers. And this one here, this footage was released by the Ukrainian military, but verified.
Now from this angle right here, and let me jump out of the way so you can see it. So, if I put my mouse on the screen, you can see what looks to be, oh, sorry, you can't see my mouse on the screen, can you? Let me throw myself back up there. So just right in, where am I? Right up, follow my finger. You can see basically on this trail right here, the smoke trail coming out of that second one. So I don't know if that is, evidence of a second strike, evidence of that being struck, or if that was maybe damage sustained from shrapnel and debris from the first strike. Not sure.
Through a number of Russian sources. In fact, the commentary.
There's your second strike. There's your second strike right there. I should have just shut my mouth and let it play. Here's your second strike.
The Ukrainian military, but verified through a number of Russian sources. In fact, the commentary here from Russian war correspondent, military informant.
So that looks to be clear evidence of at least 2 S-400s taken out.
Said, quote, a strike by Ukrainian kamikaze drones on 2 launchers of the S-400 air defense system was spotted in the Belgorod region. Judging by the video, one was completely burned out due to a direct hit by a drone on the anti-aircraft missile. The other one suffered damage. The distance from the contact line is about 50 kilometers. And a quick note on that, all of the strikes we're going to run through today are pretty deep inside of Russian territory. That's the closest to the line of contact at 50 kilometers.
So 50 kilometers closest to the line of contact gives a good indication of how deep inside of Russia the Ukrainians are still striking and the ease in which they're still striking into these territories, which again goes to, the commentary that I've been trying to deliver here on this channel to give everybody, an idea of, even though we're looking at maps that look like this and a whole lot of red, right? A whole lot of red, you think that even though it looks like that the Russians do not have complete control over everything that you now see here in red. And again, the Ukrainians are still having success attacking inside of these what are supposed to be well-controlled areas held by the Russian military, right? So if we go up here to Kupiansk, right, we'll dive into here to Kupiansk. These are the surrounded troops that we have been talking about, these Russian pockets, these small Russian pockets of troops in and around Kupiansk. And again, another one of those videos to go here. But you can see that in this area, the strikes that he's talking about happen some, 50 kilometers behind the line. So if we get our ruler out, and we'll just kind of give you a general idea. So we'll just say, use this as the front line. We'll go, what's 50 kilometers back? That's 29 kilometers. So we'd have to go out even more. So 38 kilometers, you'd have to go out even more. So 50 kilometers. So we're talking about this far behind the lines. Again, a general reference as to how far behind the lines. The Ukrainians are still having success taking out things like, S-400 missile systems and troops. We've heard many of the like a 30-plus Russian troops being killed in an attack, some distance behind the front lines. So again, 50 kilometers behind the front lines puts you in this type of region back here, which again is supposedly, if you look at the map, totally controlled and defended and occupied by Russian forces, which again, we have to make sure to continuously combat that type of rhetoric as well. But yeah, just to kind of give you an idea of what we continuously want to press home here, that even though it may have the ability to look like they have and hold more territory or all that territory, it's pretty clear that they do not have the troops, the size, the forces, or the ability to hold that territory like they claim to do. But all right, let's hop back into this. What do we got for time? I'm actually going to hop into this one. This is from RFU News, reporting from Ukraine, and this is the full breakdown of the incredible. Actually, let's do this one first. Let's do Artur. We'll do Artur Rehi first, and we'll finish off with that one if we can. All right, let's hop into this. This is embarrassing. Russians are surrounded in Kupiansk. And again, just to kind of give you more reference as to what this video is going to be about, let me go up to Kupiansk again. And right here, we're talking about these Russian forces right here. So this video about the Russian forces being surrounded, we're going to be talking about these three pockets, just to give you a little bit more context. All right, let's dive into it. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button.
Let me know in the comments.
What would be great is if I started from the beginning. Here we go. Thanks, guys.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. It's Friday, the end of the week. Time to open the cold brewski with the friends. I want to share a video with you. I'm gonna go to my safe and warm home, spend it.
And for anybody not familiar with Artur, he's an ex-Estonian military member. He was in the Estonian armed forces. He's an Estonian YouTuber, has been covering this conflict, covering this war for quite some time. And does great reporting, has great insight, not only because of his proximity to the fight and, how Estonia has really stepped up in terms of what it's been donating and what it's given up in terms of its GDP or, military power, and also its proximity into how dangerous it would be for them if the Russians were to be allowed to, again, either, take over Ukraine or move past Ukraine. Estonia would be right in the line of sight, right in the firing line of next on, Russia's fucking list of people to conquer. But here we go. This is, just a little insight into his background.
With my wife, the holiday season. I'm guessing you are going to spend it with your family, and I just want to show you this video from Kyiv. This is a Ukrainian toddler eating his breakfast, with the other hand holding a flashlight, because the Russian terrorists have bombarded everything that is able to produce any electricity. No heat, no lighting, but he still has to go to kindergarten. He still has to live. So at a very early age, this toddler already knows what to do, where to go when there's an attack, and how to eat his morning porridge or cereal. You just gotta have the flashlight. So I just want to bring that out for me and you to have that perspective and know what's good in life. Warm home, family, and no drones up in the air. We can be thankful for it. You want to be thankful for it and appreciate the Ukrainians. Well, Art Wine is the way to do that. It supports Ukrainian winemakers because this wine directly comes from Bakhmut cellars right before they were taken by Prigozhin's goons. So link is in the description below. Treat yourself to a nice Ukrainian
And again, along the
rosé.
lines of the fundraiser that Preston was having to raise funds for different vehicles. Again, like I said when we were talking about that, a lot of different YouTubers, a lot of different people that have prominent platforms, big platforms, are using those platforms to have fundraisers to support Ukrainian businesses, to support fundraisers for children's organizations in Ukraine. So again, a lot of these bigger, more prominent YouTubers and people that have huge platforms using it for good use. So if you're a follower of these channels, please make sure, if you're in the position to do so, obviously, you check out some of these links and different ways in which you can help and support the Ukrainians and the Ukrainian businesses as well.
From Bakhmut, Art Wine in the description, my friends. But now, a Christmas delivery for you, because we go to Belgorod, 50 kilometers from the state border, Ukrainian-Russian state border in Belgorod. 2 Russian S-400 launchers are driving on the road like there's no tomorrow.
And again, this is the same. This is the footage that we were just watching, just a little bit of different commentary on it.
Having fun, enjoying the Russian weather, when suddenly, is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's a Ukrainian drone. Bada boom! First one connects to the first S-400 launcher. And if you think that's it, well, it's not. There's another one connecting to the second S-400 launchers. These 2 bada booms cost Russia so much. I mean, we all know the export price of the S-400 battery. It's over $1 billion. Yes, you heard that correctly. Here's 2 S-400 launchers. Now, a battery and a launcher, 2 different things. But here's 2 launchers getting knocked out cold, put to sleep with the fishes by Ukrainian drones. I'm guessing these drones cost, what, maximum 10,000. So the return on investment, if you're any kind of businessman, you can do that math for me in the comments, please. What is the return?
I mean, that's something that Ukrainians have been continuously doing, though, utilizing cheap drones or equipment that cost them a lot less than the equipment that they're taking out from the Russians. So in Operation Spiderweb, right, where we saw the long-range attacks on the Russian airfields, and the amount of equipment that it took out and how much it actually cost to produce the drones used and how much it cost to produce that, to produce that plan to begin with, in comparison with the amount that it actually took out was exponentially more. So to be able to spend, to spend $10,000 to take out, $1 billion in equipment, again, is exactly the way that you want to fight these wars, is proving that you don't have to spend the exorbitant amounts of money on these platforms, on these weapon systems, to be able to take out a substantial amount of the enemy's, equipment.
Investment. Let's say these 2 launchers altogether cost, let's put it in the ballpark, 500 million. Those 2 Ukrainian drones cost 10,000 each, 20K. What's the return on investment when 20K eliminates $500 million? Let me know in the comments, my friends, and happy holidays. Hey, I'm not done with showing you how much the Ukrainians have destroyed the Russian equipment. Let's go to Crimea, and more specifically the Belbek air base, because Ukrainian SBU, they are notorious, with the Hura, of course, also they work together. They are notorious for eliminating anything Russia brings to Crimea. We're talking air defense, radar.
Crimea has really been having a tough time lately. We've talked about a number of different strikes on oil refineries, a number of different strikes on different aspects of the Russian defense systems in Crimea. So they've been having a rough time lately too.
Anti-air defense systems, helicopters, and fighter jets, anything they bring, and they do bring time and time again to the same locations, Ukrainians eliminate. So the latest attack on Belbek Air Base, check it out. 2 long-range radar detection systems nearby SVU, 1 radar station 92 and 6, which is part of the S-400 Triumph air defense system, 1 Panzer S air defense system, 1 fully armed MiG-31 aircraft. The destroyed Russian hardware amounts to over $200 million destroyed. However, far worse is that they cannot be replaced in short time, especially the...
And that's the big part of it. So not only are the Ukrainians doing a hell of a job at costing, the Russian military exorbitant amounts of money put into, again, equipment that is no longer going to have an effect on the front lines, is not going to be effective in terms of the war. So they've put in all of this money in the research and development and building these platforms and putting them on the front lines, and then they end up having no effect, right? So again, $200 million or $1 billion in equipment destroyed by, what is it, $10, $20, $30,000 worth of drones, whatever it is. You can see how, that is definitely the plan that you want to continue to try to enact, because that's how you win the war, spending less while taking out more. But the huge part of this is not how much money it's costing them, but the inability of Russia to be able to reproduce this equipment and to put it back into practice, to put it back on the battlefield in a reasonable amount of time that would give them a benefit, or as soon as they lose one, they could replace it with one. That's not how it's going. That's not how they're operating now, because of the economy, because of the war footing, because of how much they're having to spend part of their GDP, the gold reserves they've been going through. Like, they just don't have the ability to replace these systems to allow them to go back into the war, to continue this war like they were when they were first implemented and first put in there. So that's a huge part of this, and has been a huge part of this, in taking out the different equipment that Russia has, is the inability of them to reproduce that equipment, either because of the sanctions put in place, because they're not able to get the material or the parts or the equipment to rebuild this stuff, because a lot of it probably has to do with and involves parts from all over the world, equipment from all over the world, as opposed to being built mainly in Russia with Russian parts, which would give them ability to reproduce this stuff without having to, again, deal with the sanctions or anything else like that. So a good aspect of this, a good thing to continuously bring up, not just the money that it's costing them, but the inability they have to reproduce and put back on the battlefield these types of weapon systems.
Radar systems. Check it out. All of these destructions have drone videos of them. These images here come from the drone videos. I remember covering some of them. These happened over a certain period of time.
And let me just see if I can dive into real quick what this RFU video was going to tell us, because this is just a quick update as well about how the Ukrainians have been basically going ham on Crimea, going ham on their attacks, and they've been very effective as of late. So let's see if we can dive into just a minute or two of this, and then I'll get into thanking some people. I'll get you guys out of here. You can go support some other independent creators, some fabulous people on whatever social media platform you watch them on other than me. I appreciate it. You guys are the best chat on the earth, best chat on the planet, and I can't thank you enough. Oh, let me throw this back on. My bad.
Updates from the Russian Federation. Here, Ukrainian forces achieved another groundbreaking success by employing an underwater naval drone to strike and disable a Russian submarine that was sheltering in what had been considered a relatively safe harbor. By bypassing...
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. He says, thanks for keeping us informed and kicking MAGA Nazi ass. Fist bump. Let's fucking go. Ukraine. Heart. Sorry. StreamYard still doesn't give me emojis. It just gives me like the the word representation of it. But yes, I appreciate it, and I'm very happy to. It is my passion. If you've watched me for a long time, you know that it is something that I am very invested in, very involved in, and something that I will be continuously reporting on until we see the end that we all hope to see, and that is every Russian with a weapon, every aggressive and Russian willing to perpetrate crimes on the Ukrainian people to get the fuck out of Russia, to get the fuck out of Ukraine, and to get back into Russia. Excuse me.
Their defenses with apparent ease, this new Ukrainian capability signals a decisive shift that is set to reshape the balance of power in the sea, leaving no safe...
That's what I wanted to play too. Sorry, we don't have to dive into that. Let me just play this, because this was, again, a little bit of an update from exactly what that video is talking about now, which was the attack on the Kilo-class submarine. Let's see if we can dive into this, because this gives us a little bit of more insight into the damage possibly done or definitely done by those strikes on those submarines. So let me see if I can put this on the screen for you guys. We'll play this real quick. Sorry, I forgot to put this on early. If we have time, we'll dive back into that. But yeah, this is just a little bit of an update from satellite imagery on those submarine strikes. And then we can see if we can get a little bit of more visual on what damage occurred, took place, oil leaks that you can pick up from these satellite images. Let's take a look real quick.
Hello, everyone. I have some satellite imagery here of the Kilo submarine that was attacked by Ukraine recently at Novorossiysk. Gonna have a look at this one first, which was shared by Ukraine itself. Added to it is a diagram by Ukraine showing where the submarine hit and the distance to the submarine and that sort of thing. So you can see the section of the submarine that is submerged was right near the point of impact. So this submarine is certainly damaged, though I guess that's already obvious by the fact it hasn't moved since, whereas the other two that were in the submarine paddock have moved. Ukraine reports, upon sharing this image, that the rear of the boat is half flooded, with the armoured hull pierced by the strike and two compartments flooded. This is hard to tell in the photo, but it does look to be sitting a little bit lower in the water than the other submarine nearby, so damage has been sustained. Now, the next thing to look at here, near the middle of the submarine, is what is being shared online as being...
You can see here, sorry, just to pop on screen just for a second, just to kind of fill you in on what he's talking about. You can see the diagram, the drawing on the screen there, and that's basically where he's showing that bomb or the drone or the missile actually struck. And then you can see his drawing here. Let me see if I can put my mouse on the screen. No, not going to let me. But you can see just at the back end of that submarine how he kind of drew in where the stern plane was supposed to be there, and you can see where the point of impact was, how the distance from, he says 25 meters here, and then you can see basically, how much damage that it did, and he goes on just to kind of give you a little bit of reference of what you're looking at. You can see, I don't know why it's not showing my mouse on the screen, but usually it does.
Leaked fluids, but I think it's actually a cloud of smoke.
So they're talking about, you can see this little cloud here. I wish I could put my mouse on the screen for some reason, but if you follow my finger up, you can see that what looks to be like a cloud of smoke, or what some people speculated was oil leaking into the water that you can see there. But he's saying that he probably thinks that they're doing an engine test. Like they were probably just testing to see if the engines still worked or whatnot. And that was the smoke coming out of the conning tower that you can see, and it wasn't oil or some sort of substance coming and leaking out of the side. But what he does say next is there is some oil leaking out of the back of it. So
I think it's smoke from the start of a diesel engine rather than leaking fluid and damage, because the smoke is coming from the area of the conning tower. And check this example image out. Smoke is emitted from this area when the engines are
so that's basically a different video of the same type of submarine, and he's given this as an example of what it would look like when the engine started and where the smoke comes out of the conning tower, which he believes is what you're looking at from that satellite image of basically the Russians just trying to see, what damage has been done, running the engines to see if the engines have been damaged, that type of thing. We don't know what has been found from those tests, but he goes on just to kind of speculate that what people were thinking was like oil leaking from it was not, but they weren't looking in the right area. Check this out.
This photo is from the summer, and here it is in a cold environment, looking very similar to what we see on the satellite image. I think this little cloud near the centre of the sub is smoke from an engine test, not leaking fluid. However, we do have confirmation of a fluid leak from an Argentinian.
So now, if you do, this is, I guess, from an Argentinian satellite image. So if you can see clearly, let me see if it puts my mouse on the screen. No, it's not going to let me put my mouse on the screen. Let me see here. Can you see? Yeah, there you can see it now. There you can see it now. So this area right here, this smoke plume that you can see on the screen, that's what he's talking about, that people were speculating was like an oil leak, right? But he says that to his knowledge, to the best of his ability to kind of assume what it is, he thinks that's smoke from an engine test from the conning tower. But if you look at the back of the submarine, look at this right here. See this little spot, this white spot? Looks like there's something floating in the water here. He suspects that is the oil leak, which would make sense because that is where the explosion took place, which would be most likely where the most damage took place in the back of the submarine, right? And if you damage the prop, so you damage the stern of that bow, of the submarine, then it would absolutely lead to the leaks coming from the back of that. So this is why he's speculating, as you can see in the back of this, in the back of this submarine, this little white plume here is what he's speculating is the evidence of damage actually done to the submarine.
Sync group online who got hold of some satellite imagery. Here zoomed out, you can see behind the submarine a cloud of oil in the water. So this submarine is definitely leaking fluid now.
Here's a more zoomed in picture of that, so you can see, just in. Let me see if I can put my mouth. Yeah, this right here. So this is what he's talking. You can almost see it coming directly from the back of that submarine, leaking out, coming to the surface, and then obviously being kind of washed around by the tide. But you can pretty much see it coming directly from the back of that submarine out. So good evidence to suggest that is absolutely a leak, if not what also, and again, just to play devil's advocate here, I'm also kind of suspecting now that if they're doing an engine test, right, would it also be kind of likely they will test the like the propellers and test everything to the rear of the sub. So what that could be also is the churning, maybe the cavitation, the bubbles from the propeller. That's just kind of speculatory. That's just to be advocate to the degree on that one. The nth degree, I should say. That is not confirmed anything. That it can just be devil's advocate. Just to say all options possible. If they're doing an engine test and engines are running, what's not to say they kind of put it in there for a second. If the propellers would move, that sort of thing we're looking at there is the bubbles, the cavity of the propellers. Again, not speculatory, just to play devil's advocate.
You can see better zoom in. So definitely, if there's no doubt about it, this submarine is damaged, and it gets even better. The underwater stern appears to be gone. The blast looks like it's blown it clean off. This photo
So again, in this first photo, you can see here in the top, he's looking at this other submarine that was away from the initial blast, and you can see under the water, right under where the water level is, you can see that kind of stern plane, I believe they call it, underneath the water, clearly visible. And in the back of this other one, right, the one that was clearly more close to the explosion, you don't see that so much. You don't see it. That is not as clearly visible anymore. So whether or not that was blown clean off, like he says here, I would be more pointing towards if it was like damage to that extent where that kind of stern area was blown clean off, that thing would fucking sink, right? Or it would be more clearly visible, more easily visible, the damage to that submarine. Again, that is just my opinion, my speculatory thoughts on that one, but I could absolutely be 100% wrong. I would just think if it was damaged to that extent, that thing would be at the bottom of that fucking be at the bottom of that dock.
Image has been shared by OSIP pages on Twitter. You can see that it's perfectly visible underwater on the topmost submarine as highlighted here. But in the lower sub, the one that was targeted by the marine drone, the stern isn't visible. It looks to be gone. Now, I guess there is a chance with the oil leakage has clouded the water somewhat and obscured it from view, which is why it isn't showing up. So we can't say 100% for sure yet.
So again, at least he kind of gives himself an out in that respect. He also says that, if that is, determined to be an oil leak coming out of the back of the submarine, it could just be the oil leak itself covering up the ability to see what we're talking about in that other submarine. So at least he kind of gives that possibility as well.
Yeah. But it is looking very promising that this blast blew the rearmost section of the kilo clean off, because I'm sure even with the leaky oil, there would be some signs of it visible in the satellite imagery. This is here on the diagram of the kilo. So this features on the outside of the propeller, the hydroplane.
So you can see here just above my head where he has circled basically that part of the submarine that was visible under the water in the submarine away from the strike, as opposed to the submarine that was closest to the strike. So, if I put you could probably assume that the water level, if you look at my mouse, the water level would be somewhere up in here, which would mean the rest of this is clearly underwater, but still visible where they are in that dock. But that's just kind of to give you more information on what part of the submarine we're looking at.
And the rudder, and inside we have the auxiliary thruster and the propeller shaft. So some vital bits of the submarine. Without this, it can't move. Now,
and again, but if that was blown clean off, again, where that propeller goes through, where the shaft goes through the hull. I mean, if that was all blown clean off, you would have to think that fucking sub would no longer be watertight, would no longer be, seaworthy, right? That would just be my guess, unless, watertight compartments and they were able to stop the flow. I'm not sure. But again, that would just be my thought. If this entire back section of the submarine was blown off, that would put the rest of the sub in some serious jeopardy.
The big question is, can Russia actually repair it? There is a dry dock at Novorossiysk which is big enough to take a kilo, but can specialised repairs that a submarine needs be carried out at a bog standard dry dock, which is used for...
And as they're pointing out here, he's pointing out that there is a dry dock in the area that would be able to, or, would be able to fix it if they, but again, would you want that now being a sit and duck at a dry dock where in a port where the Ukrainians have the ability to strike? I mean, it's kind of like the raid at Saint Nazaire, right, in World War II, where they took out the Germans' ability to use the dry dock at Saint Nazaire in order to, again, fix or maintain or any, the ships that they had in there, in the area at the time. But again, just ramming into the dock gate of there, it wouldn't have mattered, because even if they had, what was it, the Tirpitz? I forget now off the top of my head what the actual ship was that was going to be used, or what they were trying to, again, use in terms of the means of the dry dock to get it away from being able to be repaired. I'm blanking on it in this respect. I apologize. But again, same type of thing. Same type of thing. Just because it's there, you obviously know that now the British can go right up the channel, right into the fucking dry dock. So would you really want your main battleship or one of your main battleships or pocket battleships or submarines sitting in a dry dock like a sitting duck? I wouldn't. I can tell you that much. But all right, let's get into thanking some people. Another good show, guys. I really do appreciate it. We're definitely going to have to keep our eye out on what's going on with the Epstein files release. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be diving in headfirst into the release, talking about, what was redacted, what was withheld, again, how many pages are being released, what still has to be released. So the more information that comes out, I'm sure we'll be hearing about it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of commentators, a lot of people, a lot of journalists and stuff diving deep into it. So there's going to be a lot to come. There's going to be a lot to come, and we need to make sure that people remember that this is not what the law said. This drip, drab, 2 more weeks is definitely Todd Blanche and the DOJ not in compliance with the law that Donald Trump signed, and that needs to be fucking hammered home as well. And then obviously the incompetency of the FBI and basically leaning on a homeless man in a Reddit post to do their work for them to catch the Brown University shooter and the shooter of the MIT professor. But let's get into thanking some people. I really do appreciate you guys. I'm going to head over to Venmo, see if anybody was kind enough to shoot over $1 or $2 on the old Venmos. And if not, I'll head over here to YouTube to make sure that everybody gets their show of appreciation, their shout outs. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do, both Nancy, Yakov, Dame. Thank you, Jenny Faye. Thank you to Karen. Thank you to Victoria and Tom. Thank you to everybody that showed up at the Zoom meetings this month. I'll be sure to send out the Zoom dates for next month so you guys can prepare for that as well. Again, anybody signed up at patreon.com/Boston Brian. Any one of the tiers gets you involved in those Zoom chats. Also, go over and check out realbostonbrian.substack. Check me out on Substack. Again, I have no idea what I'm doing over there, but I'm trying to post more to every social media platform. So check me out on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, fucking Reddit, Substack, all of these. It's too much. It's too much. It really is at this point. It's getting crazy. But please check me out on any of the social media platforms that you guys use. And let's get into thanking some people here on the YouTube. Mark, what's up, Mark? You bastard. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for that one gifted. Please make sure reaching out to Mark and thanking them for the gifted memberships that they're throwing in the chat to you fabulous people. Mark, thank you so much for your loyalty, your friendship. Thank you so much for being in the chat and taking care of the show. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to Soulcraft for being here for 7 months. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Please make sure we're congratulating anybody that's hitting, a membership milestone, gifting memberships. It goes a long way in helping the channel. And, we just can't thank you enough. I appreciate it. What's this? Is T-Boying the Mountains? Hold on. T-Bow Tebow in the mountains. Oh, Tebow in the mountains. All right. Sorry. Took me a second. I appreciate the 10 gifted memberships, though. That is very kind of you. Very generous. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now, is that Tim Tebow in the mountains? No, I'm only kidding. But thank you so much. Let me see. I'm trying to see any picture. Looks like you're in the city. Is that a city? It looks like a big building behind you. Doesn't look like so much the mountains. But I'll take your word for it. I appreciate the 10 gifted. Thank you so much. Please make sure we're reaching out to Tebow in the mountains, thanking him for the 10 gifted memberships that he just threw into the chat. Big shout out to you. Thank you so much. Appreciation for those. Same thing to Bicycle Mike as well. Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava, right back to you. Bicycle Mike, I hope you're well, brother. Hope you're having a good holiday season. Thank you so much for joining me. Mark, again, for your Ukraine support. Thank you so much. Jonathan, thank you so much. Poor man's membership. Appreciate you, Brian. No such thing, dude. No such thing. Like I say, $1 or $2 from everybody that watches the show would be a huge, huge help, a huge boost. And anything above that, above and beyond that, is totally 100% up to you. Just doing the free stuff, Jonathan. Just doing the free stuff, J-Dog. Liking, sharing, subscribing is more than enough. So coming out of pocket with the $1.99 is incredibly helpful. Don't for a second think that it's not. And I appreciate everything that you do, man. I really do. So thank you. That goes for Veronica as well. Thank you for the 5 internet interference tax. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with StreamYard today. I could see like the screen flickering on the side as I was watching this one. And then as soon as I would mention it, it would take me off. So I don't know what was going on. I think it hasn't happened since, but I appreciate you, Veronica. Thank you so much. Same thing for No Money G. Thanks for keeping us informed and kicking MAGA Nazi ass right back at you. No Money G, I appreciate that. Big $10 contribution. Thank you so much for being here and contributing to the chat. Same thing for Ruben. Thank you for the 10, Rube. Appreciate you, brother. Slava Ukraini. Get the fuck out of Ukraine, Putin. Absolutely. Amen. Totally corroborated. Totally back that statement up. Thank you so much, Ruben. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, JD. Thank you, Jin. Appreciate you, brother. For the lobsters, Boston Brian, please say below me. I can't. No, you guys always make fun of me when I do that. So you can sign up for a membership just below me. I say it too quick and with the Boston accent, it sounds like I'm saying something different than I'm actually trying to say. So I don't want to get thrown off of fucking YouTube for asking you guys to sign up for memberships. But I appreciate you, Jen. You're always stirring up the shit, always stirring up the trouble. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, No Money G, being here for 7 months. Great show as always. I appreciate you, brother. And then finally, to round it out, Mark, let's go, man. You are fucking incredible. Reminder that Trump was Epstein's best buddy. Never forget this. Epstein, Trump's team still holding files from the public. Yes, he is. And again, we're going to have to definitely dive into, what areas have been redacted, what areas have been withheld. And this fight is not over. This is by no means, the end of this game, being played by the Trump administration. You can be damn sure that they have some plans up their sleeve to try to, elongate this process to make sure that they don't have to come out with these files, like everybody says and like the law says they're supposed to. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to see you Sunday for the Sunday show. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell. That'll tell you when I go live. That'll tell you when I put out a video, when I put out a short, a post, anything like that. That way you don't have to, memorize and have the schedule, on the top of your head. But this is the schedule, just in case anybody's wondering. This is the new Blunt Politics schedule. So we'll be on Sunday, obviously, is the next show. And then Tuesdays, twice on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And who knows, maybe we'll even add a Monday show and we'll just have this whole fucking area wrapped up tight. There'll be no way for people to get around us. You'll be forced to watch Blunt Politics. I'll be on so much. But no, I appreciate you guys. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the best chat on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Facebook. You guys have been and continue to be the most amazing, the most supportive, and the most appreciative people. And I can't thank you enough. I really can't. So thank you so much. Make sure you're going and supporting other independent creators. If I give you the most bang for your buck, please make sure you're supporting this channel as well. And I will see you guys Sunday. All right. I appreciate you guys. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Keep your head in a swivel. Find your nearest protest. Find your nearest rally. Get out there. Get out there. Get out there. I appreciate you guys. Let's keep bringing up these topics. Let's keep, hashing it out like we always do. And let's keep, sifting through the propaganda, the lies, and the bullshit of the mainstream media so that we can break down these, these policies and these, these important things that are taking place throughout the globe that have huge impacts on our daily lives. All right. So again, I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. I really do appreciate you. Please hit that like button on the way out if you didn't do it on the way in. and I'll see you guys. Sunday. All right. Thank you guys. Hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season with your friends, family, loved ones, whatever it may be, whatever holiday you may celebrate. I hope you guys are having a wonderful season, and I appreciate you guys. All right. Thank you. I'll see you Sunday. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much to the mods. Thank you so much to the best chat ever. Sorry about those technical difficulties. Again, it was beyond my control. I do apologize. We've actually been really good with the technical problems as of late. Knock on wood. Hopefully that was just a minor glitch. But yeah, I'll see you guys Sunday. We'll see what's being released or what's not being released. It's more like it in these Epstein files.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
For minors, do we love minors? I love minors. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated. Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was, the Battle of Gettysburg. What an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch.
Get off my plane.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well. I've become an expert on guns. Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Or go fuck yourself.
Refer to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
What in the hell was that all about?
Man, I ain't falling for no banana in my damn pipe.
For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your... Venezuela. Did you just see Maduro? Venezuela. It's unbelievable.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
I am the chosen one. I am the chosen one. China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain. When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy, they had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports, it's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
Thank you guys. I'll see you guys Sunday. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mods. Thank you, Tiff, Tanya, Nikita, Adam, all you guys. Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Pops, El, Tim, El, everybody. Team effort here. It takes a village to raise an idiot. Later, guys. Thank you, JD. Appreciate you, man. I'll see you guys later. Be good.